Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about transit Jupiter conjunct one's natal Saturn. We're talking about transits that involve Jupiter. It can be about enlargement, expansion, expanding horizons, going outside the box, so to speak, exuberance, enthusiasm, even optimism and hope. And when you have transit Jupiter conjunct your natal Saturn, well, this could, in some cases, this can enlarge issues, expand horizons, exuberance, optimism. It could be in limitations. Sometimes it might enlarge or expand limitations, but other times you might have hope more in connection with them and maybe have more optimism and trying to work through them. A lot of that can be predicated and dependent on aspects that are made to points in your chart, of course, when you have this transit. Um, the thing about this too is it could also sometimes enlarge your restrictions or give you hope and optimism in dealing with them. Say if this is an Aquarius and or the 11th house, it could be matters with friendships or goals or aspirations, even ingenuity. Um, Maybe this could also be a time where it could be very fortuitous for one's career. It could be about going outside the box in terms of what you're doing as far as your career goes. Maybe there is something that you have something to fall back on that you may actually like better as far as a career vocation goes, and maybe that's the time where you might leave the current position to go into something that might be more prosperous or might give you more joy. Uh, and also, too, Saturn can be connected with the father, so it could be a time where the connection with the father can actually be very auspicious at this time. It might enlarge interaction with this person. It could be very favorable for matters with the father in general. And at this time as well, and we might be more philosophical about this person as well at this time. If there's been a situation or maybe it was contentious with your dad, it might be a time, well, you might be trying to see him from a different perspective at this time and try to establish more rapport with him. Now, also, too, this could be very good, fortuitous for matters with authority. It could be whether you're trying to attain a position of authority. It could be dealing with superiors or supervisors in general, whether it's your boss at work, or it could be a landlord. It could be people in the law, perhaps in some cases. I remember Jupiter is connected with the law, and Saturn is about authority figures. Um, could also be a time too where in some cases it might actually expand despondency or depression if you're in a situation, where you've either been, isolated cases, you've either been diagnosed with some kind of depression, whether it's seasonal or full-blown depression or what have you. It might enlarge this, but it could also give some optimism in maybe dealing with it at this time, or just simply a depressing situation in your life. Say if you have this in the third house, it could be some depressing situation in your communications, or local transportation, your short journeys, whether it might be being dependent on someone else or what have you, to get around your neighborhood. It could also be a time too where it might enlarge fears at this time as well, but at the same time give you positive energy in terms of conquering them as well. If you have this, say, in the Libra and or the seventh house, it could be some fear or inhibition connected with relationships. Uh, Fifth house or even Leo might be love. It might be romance or some fear connected with that. Also, a Saturn could be about laborious efforts, so this could be a time where you might find yourself doing more work, more so than usual, and if you're on like a situation where you're on salary, you may be expected to work more hours than usual. You might feel that the supervisor might be taking advantage of you at this time, but it could also be very auspicious for laborious work, whether it's through prosperity or appreciation. Um, Saturn is also about structure and discipline. So this could be a very auspicious time for getting more structure and discipline in your life. In say if it's this could be whether it's in the fourth house, it could be in the home life, third house communications. Uh, if it's in say the ninth house, it might be in some religious venue or something with higher education. And also, anatomically speaking, Saturn is connected with the bones, the teeth, the knees, joints, and hamstrings, and in the skin as well. So this could be a time where there may be expanded issues with one or more of these things that I described, especially say if you have this in the first or sixth house in your natal chart. First house, of course, is associated with the physical body. The sixth house is connected with physical issues and physical debilitations. Uh, it could be something say on because remember that conjunctions can be neutral. So on the positive end, say if you're having surgery on one of these things I mentioned anatomically that's connected with Saturn, it might be actually propitious and more beneficial. Some cases it could enlarge chronic debilitations in general, because that's what Saturn could be connected with, and depending on the sign that it's in, it may be something associated with the sign. It might be something if it's with Libra, it might be the lower back, kidneys. Taurus, it might be something with the throat or the neck. If it's a thyroid issue, um, Leo might be the spine, the upper back, the heart. Now, another thing is that another way this can manifest, this could be about having a lot of enthusiasm connected with your business and your career at this time. If it's an Aquarius as an example, it could be something with astrology or astronomy, innovation, computers, electronics. It could be a time where you might enlarge responsibilities. Say if this falls on Taurus in your 12th house in your natal chart, it could be maybe something that requires persistent, laborious efforts in solitude and seclusion. It could be doing something with endurance in private. It might be working out vigorously. Another thing too is that this could also indicate prosperity. This transit, because prosperity is connected with Jupiter, and something Saturn related, something with structure. Could be doing work on a building with architecture, maybe something with the government, political work. Um, it may be something connected with chronic debilitation. Well, how can it manifest like that? Well, if you're say in some isolated cases, if you put in a claim for disability, maybe it's the time you get approved or you receive the money connected with it. Say if it's in Gemini, for example, it might be something with like carpal tunnel syndrome or some other issue with the hands or the arms. Could also be at this time as well. Another way this may manifest and pan out, this could also emphasize more solitude, seclusion, and introversion at this time, more so than usual. If you're a person, say you have a chart that's exceptionally gregarious and extroverted, well, it might be a time where that energy, might not be coming out as strong. And if you're and you start becoming more introverted, it could surprise a lot of people at this time. And the thing about it is, too, this could also, in some cases, about having enthusiasm and exuberance for doing, basically, just work. Could be hard work in general, and dealing, your career at this time. Even if it's mundane tasks, you might be more up for it, more so than usual. Another thing too is that it could also be really you're looking at this transit as well, and say there might be sometimes this could be, large meditations. Maybe it could be something, again, like with the physical body, for example, or a monetary situation. It could manifest in a number of ways depending on what sign it's in. Could also be a time too where you're looking at this. This could also be about the truth being unveiled in some cases, about something Saturn related. Remember, Jupiter is connected with the truth, and Saturn is connected with business, father, older people. It could be old age, something that's causing you sorrow, authority figures in general. Say if this is in, say Scorpio, or entered the 8th house. It could be about maybe a criminal background of an older person. Might come out. It might be unveiled. It might be the father in some cases. And also too, and again, this could expand, work as well. Say, for example, you have this transit let's say it's in Saturn in Pisces in the 5th house in your natal chart. Sometimes this might be, well, it could even be more enthusiasm, or maybe work you might be doing that might be connected with something of hypothetical, which is Pisces, imaginary. 5th house is sports. It could be imaginary sports matchups. Could also be a time where this might expand concentration as well. And whatever it could be a good time for focusing at this time as well on something that, whatever it is you might be doing, that can be connected with Saturn sign and the house placement. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay